You don't need 20 different exercises to build a strong muscular upper body. Most people waste hours doing random movements that barely make a difference. So I went through every upper body muscle group and picked the 2 most effective exercises for each. If you focus only on these, you'll build size, strength, and definition faster than ever. Let's break down exactly what they are and why they work better than everything else. Let's kick things off with the triceps. You only need 2 exercises to build massive, horseshoe-shaped arms. Sounds like clickbait, right? It's not. After years of testing every triceps move out there, skull crushers, hello angry arms, dips, awkward kickbacks, I've found that 2 simple cable exercises hit all 3 heads of the triceps better than anything else. Yep, just 2. Quick anatomy crash course. The triceps has 3 parts: long, lateral, and medial heads. Together, they make up about 2/3 of your upper arm. So if big arms are the goal, triceps are the secret weapon. But each head kicks in a bit differently depending on how you move. Long head. This is the biggest of the 3 and runs all the way from your shoulder blade down your arm. It's special because it crosses the shoulder joint, which means to really target it, you need to raise your arms overhead. Think overhead triceps extensions. When you do, it gets fully stretched, like pulling back a slingshot. That stretch creates more tension, and more tension equals more growth. Lateral head. This is your show muscle, the outer part that forms the horseshoe shape. It doesn't cross the shoulder, so it gets activated best when your arms are by your sides and you push down, like in a cable pushdown. It really lights up at the lockout when your arm is fully extended and squeezed. That's the money shot for that sleeve-busting look. Medial head. The medial head is the quiet workhorse. It sits deeper, near your elbow, and helps you finish off any extension. It's active in almost every triceps exercise, especially during the lockout. You don't need to isolate it specifically. Just make sure you fully extend your arm in every rep and it'll get plenty of love. Now, yes, there are tons of triceps exercises. Dips, skull crushers, close grip bench, diamond push-ups. Many are great. But here's the key. We don't need 10 different exercises. We just need the right 2. So, what covers all 3 heads with precision and efficiency? Let's find out. If I could marry an exercise, well, that'd be weird. But if I had to choose one movement that's never let me down, it would be the cable triceps pushdown. This exercise has been a consistent part of my arm workouts for years, and for good reason. It's simple, effective, and absolutely torches your triceps when done right. The main target here is the lateral head of the triceps, the outer portion that gives your arms that signature horseshoe look when flexed. Push-ups are perfect for hitting it because your arms stay by your sides as you extend downward. That positioning keeps tension on the lateral head throughout the rep, especially during the lockout. The long and medial heads do assist the triceps and always work as a team, but EMG studies show the lateral head absolutely lights up during this movement. Personally, I know it's working when I finish a heavy set and feel that tight, almost cramping burn on the outer back of my arms. You'll need a cable machine with a high pulley to get started. You can use a variety of attachments: rope, straight bar, V-bar, or easy bar, each with a slightly different feel. I usually lean toward the rope attachment because it allows me to separate my hands at the bottom and really squeeze my triceps. Plus, it's easier on the wrists. That said, using a bar straight or V can help you load more weight and really overload the muscle. In fact, studies have shown bars tend to emphasize the lateral head more, while ropes bring the medial head into play a bit more. So really, you can't go wrong. Just pick what feels best for your joints and goals. I like to switch it up depending on how my elbows feel that day. To get into position, set the pulley bar near the top of the machine. Grab your attachment with an overhand grip, palms down, about shoulder width apart for a bar, or the ends of the rope if that's your choice. Take a small step back from the machine, just enough so the weight isn't pulling you forward or slamming the stack. Stand tall with feet hip width apart, or use a staggered stance if you prefer more stability. Then, roll your shoulders back, lift your chest, and lean forward just slightly from the hips. Now, here's the golden rule. Glue your elbows to your sides. Think super glue. Your upper arms shouldn't move. Only your forearm should act like hinges. From this position, press the handle or rope down by straightening your arms. Keep your elbows tucked and don't let them flare out like chicken wings. Push all the way until your arms are fully extended, but don't lock your elbows aggressively. At the bottom, squeeze your triceps hard. This is where that lateral head truly activates. If you're using the rope, you can slightly rotate your wrists outward at the bottom to maximize the contraction. Hold that squeeze for a moment. That tension, that burn, that's your growth zone. Now, slowly control the weight as you return to the starting position. Don't just let it fly back up. The eccentric phase, the lowering portion, is just as important for muscle growth. Bring your forearms up until they're about parallel to the floor, or slightly higher. Hands near chest level is a good marker. Still, keep your elbows fixed and your core engaged so your shoulders don't roll forward or steal the movement. You want to maintain tension on your triceps the whole time. Then, go again. A few form tips that make a big difference: always keep your elbows locked in place. If they start drifting forward or flaring out, you're leaking tension and bringing in muscles that shouldn't be doing the work. Use a full range of motion. Don't shortchange your reps. That means fully extending at the bottom and coming up far enough to get a light stretch at the top. Control the tempo. No yanking. I like a smooth pushdown with a short pause and then a 2-second controlled return. You should feel the triceps working the entire time. Also, pay attention to your body position. Stay about an arm's length away from the pulley. If you're too close, you risk losing tension at lockout. Too far, and you'll start leaning or arching. Keep your shoulders down, slight forward lean, and knees soft to stay balanced and stable. One more thing, mind-muscle connection is huge here. Don't just go through the motions. Really focus on your triceps during the work. Visualize the lateral head shortening as you push down. It might sound silly, but it makes a difference. If your form is dialed in, you'll feel an insane pump in the back of your arms by rep 8 or 10. Now, let's talk about common mistakes. The biggest one? Using too much weight. Ego lifting on pushdowns is everywhere. I've been guilty of it too. Stacking the weight and turning the exercise into a weird full-body swing fest. Not only does this reduce triceps activation, but it also puts stress on your shoulders and back. Keep the weight at a level you can control with strict form. Another mistake? Half repping. Either not extending fully at the bottom or not bending enough at the top. Unless you're doing advanced techniques, stick with full, clean reps. People also tend to flare their elbows way too much or start leaning and crunching their torsos during the movement. If your shoulders are moving more than your forearms, you're off track. Stabilize your core, focus on clean execution, and think of your elbows as pivot points, not levers. And finally, don't stand too close or too far from the machine. That sweet spot, about an arm's length, keeps tension consistent and your positioning stable. When you get it right, pushdowns feel amazing. The lateral head pops, the medial head gets toasted during those lockouts, and the overall pump is unreal. I often find myself flexing between sets just to admire the shape. It's that satisfying. Despite being an isolation move, it's a serious mass builder. You can progressively overload it, track your numbers, and keep it easy on the joints. It's a movement you can stick with for years. Quick personal story, my triceps used to lag behind my biceps. I'd do 5 or 6 different fancy exercises, jump around routines, and still get nowhere. Once I started consistently prioritizing pushdowns with controlled form and focused intent, my triceps started growing. My arms gained shape and my pressing strength increased too. Sometimes less is more, as long as less means better quality. Alright, we've covered the pushdown in depth. Next up, it's time for the long head's turn in the spotlight, the mighty overhead cable extension. Let's go. If cable pushdowns are the bread, then cable overhead extensions are the butter, and together, they make a triceps growth sandwich. Weird analogy, but it fits. This exercise is all about hitting the long head of the triceps, the biggest and most overlooked part when it comes to arm size. The long head attaches above your shoulder, which means the only way to fully stretch and activate it is by getting your arms overhead. That's exactly what overhead extensions do. When your elbows are up and your hands are behind your head, the long head is under tension right from the start. And as you extend, it has to work through a big range of motion. That deep burn you feel in the upper back of your arm, that's the long head doing work. Yes, the lateral and medial heads contribute, especially during lockout, but here, the long head is front and center. So why cables over dumbbells or bars? Simple. Constant tension. With cables, there's resistance throughout the entire range, even at the top, unlike dumbbells where tension drops off. Cables also move more smoothly, are easier on the joints, and let you fine-tune the weight for things like drop sets. Personally, my elbows thank me when I swap out skull crushers for cable extensions. To set up, use a low pulley with a rope attachment. Face away from the machine, step forward, and bring your hands behind your head. A staggered stance helps keep you balanced and prevents excessive arching. Keep your elbows high and slightly forward. As you extend your arms overhead, don't flare the elbows or swing. Keep the movement controlled and pivot only at the elbows. At the top, squeeze your triceps. Then lower slowly, letting the weight stretch your triceps as your hands come back behind your head. Form is everything here. Avoid arching your back. Brace your core and glutes to stay stable. Don't go too heavy. This isn't a power move. Use a full range of motion, extend fully, and control the negative. That stretch at the bottom is where growth happens. One of the biggest mistakes? Letting your elbows flare too wide or drop too low. That shifts tension off the long head and brings in other muscles. Keep the upper arms steady. Just the forearm should move. And stick to a moderate tempo. Smooth up, slight pause, slow down. Over time, this movement changed my arms completely. That thickness you see from the side or in the back poses, it's largely thanks to consistent overhead work. And studies back it up. Training at a long muscle length like this leads to more growth. Best part? You're also hitting the medial head during every lockout, so you don't need a million exercises to cover all three heads. Combined with pushdowns, cable overhead extensions give you a full balanced triceps routine. Just 2 exercises, but they cover everything you need for size, strength, and definition. Now that we've got our 2 triceps powerhouse exercises, pushdowns, and overhead extensions, it's time to talk about how to actually program them for growth. Since we're focusing on just 2 movements, smart structure matters. Volume, frequency, and intensity are what will drive real results. When to do them? These exercises fit best on upper body or push days. In a typical split, that might be after your main chest and shoulder presses. They also work great on dedicated arm days, or even at the end of a full body workout a couple of times per week. Personally, I like starting with pushdowns to warm up the elbows, then moving into overhead extensions to hit the long head when the muscle is already warm. But if your long head is lagging, reverse the order and start with overhead extensions for fresh energy and focus. Test both sequences. Go with what gives you the best mind-muscle connection. Sets, reps, and volume. Aim for 3 to 4 sets of each movement per session. That gives you 6 to 8 total sets per workout, which is solid for hypertrophy. If you train triceps twice per week, that's 12 to 16 sets per week, an ideal range for intermediates. For reps, pushdowns respond well to 8 to 12, even up to 15, while overhead extensions work best in the 10 to 15 plus range. This stretch position in extensions makes high reps especially effective and safer for your elbows. Make sure the last 2 to 3 reps of each set are challenging. If you're breezing through them, it's time to increase the weight or slow down the tempo. Progressive overload. To grow, you need to do more over time, whether that's weight, reps, or better execution. I like to track my top sets. If I hit 12 reps at 50 pounds this week, next week I aim for 13. Or bump the weight and shoot for 10. Small wins over time add up. And remember, improving form, like slower negatives or a better squeeze, counts as overload too. Frequency. Twice a week is ideal for most people. For example, do both exercises on Monday and Thursday, 3 sets each time. You can adjust volume across sessions. One day, more focus on pushdowns, another, more on extensions, depending on what needs work. Beginners can get away with once per week. Advanced lifters might split lower volumes across 3 days. Triceps recover fast, but don't push it. I'm going to let you in on a biceps building secret. You don't need a suitcase of curl variations to blast your arms. Just 2 moves, one for the long head of your biceps and one for the short head, can unlock crazy growth. Trust me, I learned this the hard way in the gym. Your biceps brachii actually have 2 heads. Think of them as 2 hungry siblings fighting over the dinner table. The long head attaches to the outer shoulder supraglenoid tubercle and gives your arm that outer sweep and width. The short head comes from the inner shoulder coracoid and, when pumped, creates that coveted bicep peak. Both heads flex the elbow and supinate the forearm. Think turning a doorknob. Picture it like this. When you bend your elbow, both heads are pitching in, but their jobs can be shifted by your arm position. This means we don't need 10 exercises. We just need the right 2. Clever, right? By adjusting shoulder angle and grip, you can bias one head over the other. Once I really understood that the biceps have 2 distinct heads, the long and the short, I went deep into the research to figure out how to train both as effectively as possible. And it turns out, the science actually makes it pretty simple. EMG studies consistently show that you don't need a dozen curl variations to hit both heads. You just need the right 2. One meta-review categorized a specific pair of movements as Tier 1 for biceps development. That means they produced over 90% muscle activation in at least one high-quality study, top of the list in terms of efficiency. Even more convincing, a 2013 study by Oliveira et al. Compared several common curl variations and found that one of these 2 distinctly activated the long head, while the other targeted the short head more directly. In other words, if your goal is full biceps development, this combo already has you covered. Sure, other exercises can play a role, like cables, compound pulling, and specialty equipment, but this duo gets to the heart of the matter. In fact, one practical EMG experiment found that one of the 2 lights up the biceps throughout the full range of motion, while the other cranks up tension during that final peak contraction. So I started thinking of them like a power team, one that stretches and trains the long head through its full length, and one that hammers the short head right where it counts. Personally, when I stopped bouncing between random curls and just doubled down on these 2, my progress finally stopped stalling. My arms actually started to grow again, and more importantly, they felt stronger and more balanced. Time to target the long head. Set up on an incline bench around 45 degrees with dumbbells in hand. Let your arms hang straight down behind you at the bottom. This stretches the long head since its shoulder origin is pulled back, loading it right from the start of the curl. Many lifters, including some pro bodybuilders, swear by this deep stretch for growth, and science agrees it really emphasizes the long head. How it works. With shoulders extended and elbows back, the long head is pre-stretched. As you curl up, it must be hard to flex the elbow. By contrast, the short head is a bit more slackened in this position, so it's not stealing the show. One nerdy site even ranks the incline curl as hardest at the beginning of the lift, right where the long head has to work most. The result? Big outer sweep on the bicep. Step-by-step form tips. 1. Sit all the way back on an incline bench about 30 to 45 degree incline. Back and neck neutral. 2. Grab a dumbbell in each hand with a supinated grip, palms up. Let your arms hang fully straight, feeling a stretch in the biceps. 3. Curl both dumbbells simultaneously, or alternate arms straight up by flexing the elbow. Focus on keeping your elbows pinned back. Avoid letting them drift forward. 4. Squeeze at the top, elbows fully flexed for a brief pause, then slowly lower under control. The eccentric lowering portion should take 3 to 4 seconds to maximize time under tension. Common mistakes. Don't cheat with momentum or body swing. The benefit comes from strict form. Avoid half curling, not lowering all the way or flaring your elbows forward, which shifts work to other muscles. Also, if you drop your shoulders or round your back, the stretch is lost and shoulder strain increases. Keep a proud chest and imagine curling from the elbow only. Variation potpourri. The classic is dumbbells, but you can also use an easy bar or straight barbell, though dumbbells let each arm move freely and avoid imbalances. Some gyms have cable stations where you can lie back and curl with a cable to maintain constant tension throughout. For variety, try a hammer grip incline curl, palms facing each other. This works the brachialis more, which pushes up the biceps from underneath. Personally, I stick with strict supinated dumbbell curls because each arm works independently and the range is maximal. Why incline curls rock? In my experience, and according to the data, dumbbell incline curls really crank the pump on the long head without letting my ego sabotage form. Even legend Jeff Nippard includes incline curls in his biceps routines, often quoting how they stretch the biceps' long head. And remember that 2013 study. Incline curls fire up to 95% of max on the long head near lockout. If you want a well-rounded bicep width, this is one of the best. Now for the short head, which is all about the inner peak of your biceps. Preacher curls are the classic here. Sit at a preacher bench or use a similar pad with your triceps resting on the pad and curl an easy bar or dumbbells upward. In this setup, your elbows are locked forward in front of your body. That position shortens the long head since its origin moves toward its insertion, so the short head picks up more of the load. Think of preacher curls as forcing the short head to do the heavy lifting. Interestingly, science hints that preacher curls make the short head a bit more active. A study we saw mentioned the short head was favored by preacher-style curls, and an EMG analysis even noted preacher curls tended to activate the short head more relative to the long head. It's not a huge difference. Most curls still hit both heads hard, but enough that preacher curls are often credited for building that inner bicep thickness. How to do a preacher curl. 1. Set up a preacher bench or use an incline bench facing backwards. Grab an easy bar for wrist comfort or a pair of dumbbells. 2. Rest your arms on the pad so that your armpits just clear the top. Elbows at the edge, arms extended with a slight bend to protect the joint. 3. Curl the weight up by flexing the elbows, keeping your upper arms pressed firmly to the pad. Don't let your elbows rise off the pad or swing. 4. Pause and squeeze your biceps at peak contraction, elbows near 90 degrees or higher. Then lower slowly back to full extension. Spider curls alternative. If you don't have a preacher bench, the spider curl is a killer alternative. Lie face down on an incline bench with your chest supported, letting your arms hang straight down. Curl up just like a preacher, but now gravity is pulling differently. Spider curls give constant tension, no rest at the bottom, and force strict form. They still bias the short head fairly well because your arms start from behind you. Form tips and mistakes. With preacher curls, the key is elbow position. Keep elbows locked in place against the pad, no elbows flying out. This isolates the biceps. Avoid jerking the bar or using your shoulders. If the weight is too heavy, drop it. A smooth rep is better than an awkward half curl. Also, go through the full range of motion, extending fully to lengthen the muscle. A lot of bros stop early at the bottom, but that kills tension. For spider curls, focus on control. Don't arch your back to help lift the dumbbells. Because your elbows start behind your torso, you'll feel a deep stretch at the bottom and tension at the top throughout. Grip variations. You can even tweak preacher curls with grip width. A wide grip on the bar tends to hit the short head even more, while a narrow grip shifts some focus to the long head. Try both to see which creates the best peak for you. Personally, I often use an easy bar with a moderate grip on preacher curls, and switch to a dumbbell preacher one arm occasionally to address any left-right imbalances. Let's break down some of the common alternatives and why certain variations stand out. Why choose the incline version over something like a standing curl or a cable setup? It all comes down to arm position. The incline variation places your arms behind your torso, starting the movement from a more stretched position. This lengthened stretch places greater tension on the long head right from the start. something that a typical standing curl just can't replicate. Standard barbell or dumbbell curls do activate both heads reasonably well, but they tend to miss that stretch-mediated stimulus that's so valuable for long head growth. Now, if we shift to the short head side of things, the classic one-arm preacher curl offers great isolation and control, especially with dumbbells. But when you use an easy bar on the preacher bench, you can often move slightly more weight with better wrist comfort, making it a solid progression. And if you're working in a gym where benches are limited, cable curls with a low pulley and a preacher-style attachment can mimic the preacher's angle nicely while adding constant tension through the entire range. What about spider curls? These are often underrated. Done face down on an incline bench, they eliminate momentum. You've got no support except your upper chest. This strict position makes it nearly impossible to cheat the weight up, forcing the biceps to work harder. Like preacher curls, spider curls lock the upper arm in place, which is great for isolating the short head. Some lifters even report a stronger burn in the short head and brachialis during spider curls, likely due to the steeper angle and constant tension. In my own training, I like to alternate between preacher and spider curls to change the stimulus while keeping the focus on the short head. The spider variation also tends to provide a better stretch at the bottom, since your arms start just slightly behind your body. At the end of the day, the best variation is the one you'll consistently perform with good form and control. Personally, my go-tos are the two-arm incline version, either simultaneous or alternating, and the easy bar preacher curl. They hit the long and short heads efficiently without wasting time on flashy variations. If you're looking to push the intensity even further, try using drop sets, adding a pause halfway up, or even slowing down the eccentric. But honestly, even without those techniques, these two movements already check all the boxes. The incline version lights up the long head, adding that outer bicep sweep, while preacher and spider variations zero in on the short head, building that peak and overall arm density. Let's make sure you aren't doing these wrong. For incline curls, don't swing your body or use hip thrusts. That cheat will make it feel easier, but the biceps lose out. Also, avoid lifting your shoulders or letting them round forward. Keep them stable. Make sure to lower the weights fully. When you rest at the top, the long head actually gets to stretch on the way down. For preacher and spider curls, the enemy is momentum and slack. Don't bounce the weight up or lift your elbows off the pad. If you see your elbows creeping, you're either using too much weight or losing focus. Keep constant tension. Even at the bottom of a preacher curl, don't just drop the bar. Feel it lowering slowly. Remember the law of mind-muscle connection. Squeeze your biceps with each rep. A 2017 study found that consciously focusing on muscle contraction boosts growth, so don't watch your biceps, actually feel them. I like to imagine crushing a grape at the top of each rep. It's cheesy, but it works. You might wonder, how many sets and how often? For hypertrophy, aim for about 10 plus sets per week per arm of focused biceps work. With only 2 exercises, you could do 3 to 4 sets of incline curls and 3 to 4 sets of preacher curls per session, hitting biceps twice a week. For example, on arm day, do 3 sets of 8 to 12 incline curls, then 3 sets of 8 to 12 preacher curls. On back and pull day, you could superset a couple of sets of them to finish off. Reps in the classic hypertrophy range, 6 to 1 and 2 work well. One approach, use heavier weight 6 to 8 reps for strength on one exercise, and lighter high rep 10 to 15 on the other for a pump. For variety, you could do drop sets or 21s curl halfway, pump partials, etc. at the end of a session. Just make sure you're progressively overloading over weeks. Add weight or reps when you can while keeping strict form. Frequency-wise, biceps recover fairly fast, so training them 2 times per week is fine. Spreading the 10-plus sets over 2 sessions, 5 sets each time, prevents burnout and lets you perform fresh. Always warm up the elbows and shoulders and listen to your body. Some soreness is normal, but sharp pain is a signal to stop. I used to think building shoulders as round as bowling balls required a laundry list of exercises and maybe a deal with the Greek gods. But after years of feeling like my shoulder routine was just me flapping my arms like a confused chicken, I discovered a game-changing secret: You only need 2 exercises to grow massive boulder shoulders. In this video, I'm sharing how focusing on just 2 killer moves transformed my pancake shoulders into cannonballs, backed by science and some insider tips from top fitness pros. Shoulder day used to be a long mix of front raises, side raises, reverse flies, upright rows, and every press variation I could think of. My results? Sore shoulders, but no real growth. I thought there has to be an easier way. So I dove into research, followed the pros, and tested it all on myself. The answer? Focus on just 2 exercises that pack the most punch. Once I streamlined my routine, progress exploded. And yes, my shirt started getting tight in the shoulders, a good problem to have. So, what are these magic exercises? If you want that impressive 3D shoulder width, nothing beats a solid lateral raise. It hits the lateral delts, which are key for that broad capped shoulder look. But not all lateral raises are created equal. After experimenting with dumbbells, machines, and resistance bands, I discovered the leaning cable lateral raise is the ultimate variation. Here's why: constant tension and better range of motion. When using cables, your muscles face steady tension throughout the entire movement, something dumbbells can't deliver, as the tension drops at the bottom. By leaning away from the cable, you also increase the distance your arm travels, giving you a longer range of motion. This means your side delts are getting more muscle-building tension from the deep stretch at the bottom to the top of the rep. In fact, leaning to the side ensures that your delts stay engaged even at the very bottom of the movement, a feat that dumbbell lateral raises just can't match. No rest for your delts means more time under tension and more growth. Isolation of the lateral delt. The leaning cable lateral raise is like a laser targeting your lateral delts. By adjusting your body angle and using the cable, you take momentum out of the equation, forcing the side delt to do all the work. I noticed a huge difference when I switched from swinging dumbbells to strict leaning cable raises. My delts burned more and grew faster. Fitness experts like Jeff Cavalier swear by cable lateral raise variations for keeping constant tension and maximizing side delt engagement. The added benefit of leaning also gives you that extended range, which increases muscle-building tension. More range plus more tension equals more gains. When I first tried leaning cable lateral raises, the difference was immediate. My side delts were on fire in a good way, and I finally got that deep muscle soreness telling me I hit the right spot. A few things I've learned along the way. Keep the movement slow and controlled. Don't jerk the weight up. I pretend I'm pouring water from a jug as I raise my arm out to the side and slightly forward. Keeping my thumb a bit lower than my pinky helps target the side delt and protects the shoulder joint. Also, don't go too heavy. While your ego might want you to use 50-pound weights, your delts will grow faster with the weight you can lift with perfect form. This is an isolation move. Form is everything. Plus, because you're leaning and using one arm at a time, your core, hello obliques, also gets a bit of a workout. Are lateral raises really that important? Yes, lateral raises are essential for building the side delts, and science backs it up. Studies show lateral raises top the list for stimulating the medial side delt. In fact, fitness YouTuber Jeremy Ethier hooked himself and some friends up to EMG machines and found that lateral raise variations were the best for side delt activation. Cables were close behind dumbbells in his test, which proves that lateral raises, whether with dumbbells or cables, are the go-to move for side delt growth. I've tried dumbbell lateral raises, effective but with dropped tension at the bottom, leaning dumbbell raises, better stretch but similar to cables. The lateral raise machine is great for stable overload but limited range. And even the Y raise, which engages the front delt too. All have their place, but my winner is still the leaning cable lateral raise. It gives me constant tension, an adjustable body position, and crushes the side delts. Plus, the leaning position allows me to squeeze out a few extra reps by standing up a bit more for a tiny rest, an intensity technique built into the move. If you don't have a cable machine, a leaning dumbbell lateral raise is the next best thing. Just find something sturdy like a squat rack, lean away, and hold the dumbbell in your free hand. Fitness influencers across the board agree. To build wide armor-plate shoulders, lateral raises are essential. Jeff Nippard and Dr. Mike Israetel both emphasize extended range lateral raises to maximize shoulder width. And you've probably never seen a guy with giant capped shoulders who doesn't do lateral raises. If you want to build those massive side delts, lateral raises, especially leaning cable raises, are key. I used to think lateral raises would turn me into a Dorito-shaped superhero overnight. Spoiler alert, you still need consistency and progressive overload. But focusing on this move instead of trying every random shoulder exercise I saw online made my workouts more efficient and actually fun. Plus, there's something satisfying about knowing you're doing the one exercise that truly targets the muscle you want. No more guessing if my side delts are getting hit. I'm hitting them directly. Alright, enough about raises. Let's press on to the next big move. If lateral raises shape the width of your shoulders, then the shoulder press is the move that builds the mass and strength. Whether it's the barbell military press, dumbbell shoulder press, or Arnold press, any overhead press is a must for developing big, strong shoulders. Overhead pressing engages all three heads of the shoulder, front, side, and stabilizes the rear delts, plus the triceps and upper back. In my journey, the shoulder press was an obvious second exercise. It's a proven mass builder. Let me break down why the shoulder press is absolutely essential for massive shoulders. Overhead pressing lets you lift serious weight, hitting multiple muscle groups. It's the exercise where you can push much heavier than in lateral raises, and that heavy load is key for stimulating overall growth and strength. My favorite variation is the seated dumbbell shoulder press because it allows me to press heavy while staying in a safe range of motion and with no balance issues. I also mix in standing barbell presses, the classic military press, to challenge my core and stabilizers. The shoulder press targets the anterior deltoid, the front delts, like no other exercise. Studies show that overhead pressing activates the front delts more than any other exercise, including bench presses or flies. In fact, Jeremy Ethier's EMG experiment found overhead presses beat out front raises in activating the front delts. So, if you want that round, poppin' front delt, pressing is your best friend. The shoulder press doesn't just target the front delts, it also engages the side delts and stabilizers, especially during standing presses. Interestingly, during standing presses, your side delts help stabilize the weight, which Jeremy's data showed led to high side delt activation in standing dumbbell presses. The shoulder press is a compound powerhouse, lighting up your entire shoulder girdle, along with the traps, triceps, and core. It's the shoulder equivalent of the squat, challenging multiple muscles and allowing you to progressively overload. After prioritizing heavy shoulder presses, my overall upper body strength skyrocketed. I could lift heavier on other exercises and even carry all the grocery bags in one trip. Functional strength win. That's why Olympic weightlifters and strongmen focus on overhead presses. It builds real strength and massive shoulders. I've tried a bunch of pressing variations. Barbell presses are great for maximum weight, but tough on the joints if form slips. Dumbbell presses are my go-to for a natural range of motion. Arnold presses, the twisty variation that adds a front raise motion, and machine shoulder presses are perfect for isolating the shoulders safely. The best shoulder press is the one that works for you, and the one you can perform safely while increasing weight over time. For me, seated dumbbell presses have been the most effective. They hit the shoulders hard, are easy on the joints, and allow me to go heavy. But if you prefer barbell presses or have a plate-loaded machine at your gym, that works too. The key is to include some form of heavy overhead pressing. It's non-negotiable if you want big shoulders. Jeff Cavalier from AthleanX often ranks the overhead press as a top-tier shoulder exercise. He emphasizes that heavy barbell presses are the foundation for shoulder size, especially when combined with lateral raises. Even Jeff Nippard, the science-based bodybuilder, includes machine presses in his front delt exercises for 3D shoulders. It's clear pressing is essential for building big shoulders. I'll admit, I avoided overhead presses at first. I was more focused on mirror muscles, so I overdid bench presses and bicep curls instead. Sound familiar? The result? A decent chest and arms, but my shoulders, especially my front delts, lagged behind. Eventually, a gym buddy who had huge cap-like shoulders told me his secret: overhead presses. So I started light, perfected my form, and gradually added weight. The first time I pressed 50-pound dumbbells overhead, I felt like Superman. And sure enough, my shoulder size and strength increased significantly after committing to pressing. Plus, it's empowering to lift heavy overhead. It tests your total body strength and balance. Now, shoulder presses are a staple in my routine. They've even helped my bench press go up, since the front delts play a role in pressing power. I used to joke that my gym program was 90% bench press until I realized my front delts were overdeveloped from all the chest work, while my side delts were tiny. I started looking like a walking triangle, and that's why our first exercise, lateral raises, is so crucial. They balance out all the pressing. Now, I do overhead presses once or twice a week, as recommended by most coaches, and focus on side and rear delts the rest of the time. The result? Better symmetry and that 3D look. Balance is everything. You might be thinking, can 2 exercises really be enough to build huge shoulders? In my experience and backed by experts, yes. Here's why. The shoulder deltoid has 3 main heads: front, side, and rear. These 2 exercises hit the front and side delts exceptionally well. The shoulder press targets the front delts, works the side delts, and even activates the rear delts and traps as supporting muscles. The leaning lateral raise zeroes in on the side delts while giving the front delts a little love too. Combined, they hit your most visible shoulder muscles with a heavy load for growth and focused isolation for size. A quick note on rear delts. While these 2 exercises don't directly isolate the rear delts, the shoulder press activates them slightly, and back exercises like rows and face pulls target them too. If you want to complete the 3D look, add a few sets of face pulls or reverse flies. However, the bulk of that bolder shoulder appearance comes from well-developed front and side delts, and that's exactly what these exercises maximize. I saw the biggest improvements in my shoulder size when I dropped the fluff, like endless front raises and upright rows, and focused on progressively overloading these 2 moves. Quality over quantity, as they say. Don't just take my word for it. Research shows that shoulder presses and lateral raises provide superior muscle activation for the delts compared to other exercises. Renowned coaches agree. The best way to grow side delts is by focusing on heavy compound exercises like barbell shoulder presses and supplementing them with isolation exercises like lateral raises, says Jeff Cavalier from Athlean X. That sums up this entire approach perfectly. Heavy presses for overall growth and lateral raises for targeted side delt activation. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger built his massive shoulders with a steady mix of heavy presses and lateral raises. His signature move, the Arnold press, is just a variation of the shoulder press. When both generations of athletes and modern science agree on the same core moves, you know they're the real deal. Just because we're sticking to 2 types of exercises doesn't mean every workout has to be the same or boring. You can keep it exciting with small tweaks while staying true to the basic formula. For lateral raises, I mix it up between cables and dumbbells depending on the day. Sometimes I do them leaning as I recommended, and other times I go for lying incline lateral raises on a bench to get a similar stretch effect. Trust me, those are brutal in a good way. When it comes to presses, I alternate between heavy barbell presses for a few weeks and then switch to dumbbells. Occasionally, I'll even throw in some high-rep Arnold presses at the end to really feel the burn. Shoulders on fire, and me making weird faces in the gym, it's all part of the fun. These variations are like different flavors of ice cream. It's all still presses and raises, but each one keeps things fresh mentally and targets the muscles from slightly different angles to keep them growing. No matter what variations you choose, remember the golden rule for growth: progressively overload. Gradually increase the weight, reps, or difficulty over time. For shoulder presses, aim to add a little weight or an extra rep whenever you can. I keep a training log, and it's super motivating to see my numbers go up, like moving from pressing 40-pound dumbbells to 50 pounds, and then to 60 pounds over weeks and months. For lateral raises, progress is a bit slower. Small muscles need smaller increments, but you can still increase the reps, slow down the tempo, or add a pause at the top to make it more challenging. I personally love doing a set to failure and then squeezing out a few partial reps at the end. It's like getting the last drop of juice from a lemon. Consistently challenge yourself, and your shoulders will have no choice but to adapt and grow. Shoulders are a complex joint, so always warm up before hitting those heavy presses. Do some light rotations and maybe a few sets of overhead presses with an empty bar or light dumbbells to lubricate the joints. For lateral raises, start light until you feel that mind-muscle connection in your side delt. Then ramp up from there. Keep your ego in check. It's better to use a lighter weight with perfect form than to swing a heavy one and risk injury. Trust me, a shoulder injury will set you back far more than dropping 5 pounds off the dumbbell. As the gym saying goes, you can't flex a torn rotator cuff. So be smart and you'll be lifting for the long haul. Grow your chest with only 2 exercises. They say you need to bench press 3 plates to build a big chest. But what if I told you all you need are 2 exercises? Don't believe me? Stick around. I promise this isn't clickbait, and if I'm wrong, you can send me the bill for your next protein tub. I remember when my chest day looked like a circus. Flat bench, incline bench, decline bench, flies, push-ups, machine press. I was like a one-man chest exercise encyclopedia. It was International Chest Day every day, and my pecs were still as flat as week-old soda. After years of trial, error, and looking like a confused gym hamster running between machines, I discovered the power of chest day minimalism. Today, I'm sharing that secret. And trust me, by the end, you'll wonder why you ever tortured yourself with those other 57 chest exercises. I used to be the guy who threw the entire gym at my chest. Presses, flies, machines, cables. If it worked for someone on Instagram, I tried it. The result? Sore joints, fried triceps, and a chest that looked decent mid-pump but deflated faster than a birthday balloon. Then came the light bulb moment. I realized I wasn't training hard, I was just training a lot. I started diving into what guys like Jeff Nippard, Jeff Cavalier, and Greg Doucette were preaching. Forget the long lists of exercises. Focus on the best and train them with full intent. That's when I stripped it all down to just 2 moves. Not random ones. 2 exercises that perfectly complement each other. One builds raw strength and mass through heavy loading, and the other isolates and stretches the muscle through its full range. Together, they hit every part of the chest and cover both of its main functions. Since making that change, my chest development has exploded. Not only did I finally see growth in stubborn areas, but my workouts became more focused, efficient, and honestly, more fun. So, what are these 2 game changers? Stick around, because we're about to break down why less really is more when it comes to building a complete chest. If I could marry a chest exercise, I'd be walking down the aisle with the Incline dumbbell bench press, no question. This single movement reshaped my chest in a way years of flat benching never did. I used to chase chest gains with every press variation under the sun. Barbells, machines, decline benches, dips, you name it. But nothing delivered that full squared-off look like this one did, especially in the upper chest, which most guys struggle to grow. Let's break it down. The incline dumbbell press is performed on a bench angled at about 30 degrees, which I found to be the sweet spot. That moderate incline is critical. Too flat and you're mostly hitting the mid and lower pecs. Too steep and your shoulders take over. Studies back this up. According to research Jeff Nippard often cites, the 30 to 45 degree range is ideal for upper pec activation, while anything beyond that, say 60 degrees, starts to shift the load away from the chest and onto the anterior delts. And dumbbells? That's where this exercise really separates itself. Unlike the barbell, which locks your hands in place and limits your range, dumbbells give you freedom. You can bring the weights closer to the top, stretch deeper at the bottom, and adjust your grip for shoulder comfort. This slight inward arc at the top adds a crucial adduction component, which is one of the pec's main functions, bringing your arms toward the center line of your body. You're not just pushing up, you're pressing and squeezing. That small difference, huge impact. Plus, dumbbells fix imbalances. If one side of your chest is lagging, there's nowhere to hide. Your dominant arm can't bail out your weaker side like it might with a barbell. That leads to better symmetry over time, especially if you're training with intention. Let's talk feel. When you perform this lift right, feet planted, shoulder blades pulled back, elbows tucked around 45 degrees, and the dumbbells moving on that natural arc, you feel your entire chest working, especially that upper shelf. After a few weeks of consistently prioritizing incline dumbbell presses, I noticed my shirts fitting tighter across my top, my collarbone disappearing behind actual muscle, and finally, that upper pec pop that made my chest look complete. It was like upgrading from a flat tire to a fully inflated all-terrain beast. But here's what I really love. This exercise doesn't just feel great, it allows heavy loading. It's a true compound movement, meaning you can challenge your body with real weight and progressively overload over time. That's the magic formula for hypertrophy. Tension plus progressive resistance plus recovery. Whether you're chasing 8 to 12 reps for growth or going heavier for strength phases, the incline dumbbell press delivers both. You get the best of both worlds, intensity and control. And don't forget, dumbbells are joint friendly. If you've ever felt beat up from barbell benching, incline dumbbells are like a breath of fresh air. You're not locked into a rigid bar path, and you can tweak the range to suit your anatomy. This is a big reason Jeff Cavaliere often recommends it for longevity in training. It's powerful but forgiving. So let's sum it up. The incline dumbbell bench press emphasizes the upper chest, allows for a full range of motion, improves muscular balance, and supports progressive overload. It's basically the perfect storm for growth. If your chest looks bottom heavy or you feel your pecs vanish when your pump fades, this is your fix. For me, this was the turning point. When I stopped rotating through 5 different chest presses and doubled down on just this one, my gains accelerated. No more fluff, no more wasted sets, just focused, deliberate work on a lift that actually moved the needle. But we're not done yet. You see, pressing alone builds thickness and strength, but it doesn't complete the picture. To fully develop your chest, you need to train it through its entire function, especially the squeeze and stretch at the top and bottom ranges. And that's where the seated cable fly comes in. It's the perfect complement to the incline press, and together, they cover every angle, every fiber, and every function of your chest. Let's dive into that next. If the incline press is our heavy hitter, the cable fly is the sculptor. It adds detail, depth, and that sharp inner line definition that turns a good chest into a great one. For me, this has become my secret weapon, especially for carving out the middle and lower chest. That visible line down the center, that round, full look at the base of the pecs, thank the fly for that. So, what exactly is the seated cable fly? Imagine a classic dumbbell fly or pec deck, but better. Instead of standing and potentially cheating with momentum, we lock in a bench between the cable stacks. Seated upright, you pull the cables inward in a wide arc, like a bear hug, but with full control and constant tension. It's you versus the machine. And when done right, it isolates your pecs better than almost any other move. Here's why it's so effective. With the cables set around chest height, you're directly targeting the sternal fibers of the pectoralis major, the mid and lower chest. This makes it the perfect complement to our incline press, which focuses more on the upper pecs. In EMG tests, Jeremy Ethier was actually surprised to find that this horizontal fly variation didn't just hit the mid-chest hard, it rivaled and even beat out downward flies for lower chest activation. Think about that. You're seated, stable, and working through a precise range that hammers the chest from the center outward. There's no energy leaking into your legs or lower back. Just chest fibers stretching and squeezing. Exactly what we want. And here's where cables outshine dumbbells. Constant tension. With dumbbells, the resistance fades as your arms come vertical. But cables? They keep pulling from start to finish. That means your pecs are under tension through the entire range of motion, from the deep stretch to the hard contraction at the top. It's time under tension at its best. An ACE-sponsored study showed that cable crossovers produced 93% of the activation of a barbell bench press. Pretty impressive for an isolation movement. That's not just theoretical, you feel it. Presses build the chest, but flies let you feel every fiber working, especially in that final squeeze. Form breakdown. Set your bench upright or with a slight incline. Pulleys should be at shoulder height or slightly below. Sit down, grab the handles, and extend your arms out to the sides with a soft bend at the elbows, like you're about to hug a giant tree. From there, bring your hands together in a wide arc, exhaling as you squeeze your chest. Keep your elbows steady. Don't turn it into a press. Focus on letting the pecs do the work, not the shoulders, not the triceps. At the peak contraction, when your hands meet in front, pause and squeeze your pecs like you're trying to make them touch. Hold that for a second. That's where growth happens. Then, return slowly to the stretched position. Keep control. Don't let the cables yank you back. Every rep should feel like a loaded spring compressing and decompressing. Tip: I personally aim for 10 to 15 reps per set here. It's an isolation move. We're not chasing 1 RMs. We're chasing burn, control, and contraction. And yes, you can modify it. Raise the pulleys for a high to low fly emphasizing lower chest. Lower the pulleys for a low to high fly targeting upper chest. Adjust your torso angle slightly to find your best feel. But for most lifters, the standard seated fly at chest height is the sweet spot. It hits the entire mid to lower chest beautifully. Compared to other fly variations, pec deck machines are decent, they keep tension, but they lock you into a single arm path, which may not suit everyone. Dumbbell flies offer a great stretch, but lose tension at the top and can be risky if you overstretch under heavy load. Standing cable flies are good, but easier to cheat as you fatigue. The seated cable fly avoids all those issues. You're locked in, stable, and able to push your chest close to failure, safely and effectively. In my own training, dumbbell flies have mostly been replaced by cables. The difference? I feel my chest more. I get a better pump, more soreness in the right spots, and most importantly, better results. This is also a great move for burnout sets. Go heavy and strict, or drop the weight and pump out high-rep finishers. Either way, your chest will thank you. Jeff Cavaliere even suggests pairing presses with flies in a superset. Heavy load followed by intense contraction. I've done that plenty. Incline press, then walk straight to the cables and rep out until I'm fried. The combination hits your chest from both ends of the spectrum. Mechanical tension and metabolic stress. And trust me, your pecs will feel it. You might be thinking, really? Just 2 exercises for the chest? What about flat bench, dips, push-ups, and pec deck? Am I missing out? It's a fair question, but remember, the goal here is not to do more, it's to do what works best. Almost every chest exercise has some benefit, but not all are equally effective, and not all are necessary if you train smart. After years of experience and plenty of research, I've found that the incline dumbbell press and seated cable fly cover all the bases. Upper, mid, and lower chest with minimal overlap and maximum efficiency. Flat bench? Great for mass, but it often overemphasizes the lower chest and neglects the upper. Dips and declines? Also, lower chest dominant and not always shoulder friendly. Push-ups are solid for beginners, but hard to overload once you're stronger progressively. Pec deck and dumbbell flies? Useful, but cables provide better tension and more control. With these 2 moves, you're hitting your chest from both primary angles, pressing heavy and squeezing hard, and training the full function of the muscle. You're not missing out. You're cutting out the fluff and doubling down on what really builds muscle. Alright, we've covered why these 2 exercises work. Now let's talk about how to program them for real growth. If you're going to train chest with just the incline dumbbell press and seated cable fly, you'll need to hit them with enough volume and intensity. A great starting point? 3 to 4 working sets of each exercise per session. That's 6 to 8 quality sets, focused on pushing close to failure. More than enough if you're training hard and smart. If you train chest twice per week, repeat the same structure or make small variations, like using a barbell press or a low to high cable fly. That brings your weekly total to 12 to 16 sets, which is right in the sweet spot for hypertrophy, as Jeff Nippert often recommends. Just make sure you push each set. The last few reps should challenge you. As Greg Doucette puts it, stimulate, don't annihilate, but don't coast either. Track your progress. Add weight when your reps feel strong. Push for an extra rep when you can. On flies, focus on improving form, control, and that hard squeeze at the top. Progress doesn't have to be dramatic. Consistent small wins lead to big changes over time. If you ever feel bored, swap dumbbells for a barbell or try a pec deck instead of cables. Keep the same press and fly structure, just tweak the tools. And don't forget, your shoulders and triceps will get some love too. But make sure you're training your full body across the week. Recovery matters. Train hard, rest well. Let 48 to 72 hours pass before hitting chest again, and feed those muscles. Protein and sleep are as important as reps and sets. With only 2 exercises, you can focus completely. Treat each set like a main event. Get fired up before your heavy presses. Challenge yourself to squeeze harder on every fly. This kind of focus is hard to sustain in long workouts, but with 2 lifts, you can give everything and finish strong. So, try it. Stick with this for 6 to 8 weeks. Take it seriously. Track your lifts, your form, your recovery, and I bet your chest will surprise you. Sometimes, doing less lets you train harder and grow more. Hey friends, I know it sounds like late-night gym bro hype, but yes, you can build a bigger, stronger back with just 2 exercises. Sounds crazy? Stick around. I'm going to show you how to grow a barn door back with a simple science-backed strategy. I used to throw every back move in the book into one workout. Pull-ups, rows, pull-downs, T-bars, dumbbells, total chaos. My workouts were long, exhausting, and honestly, not that effective. Then I cut the fluff and focused on just 2 key moves. The result? Better growth, better form, and more energy left for literally anything else in life. Why only 2? Because 1 vertical pull and 1 horizontal pull cover everything. Width, thickness, lats, traps, rhomboids, and even rear delts. Studies back it up. And so do guys like Jeff Nippard and Greg Doucette. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what works harder and smarter. Don't worry, everything is tested by me, and you will get my personal opinion and experience as well. Before we jump into the how-to, let's quickly talk about why these 2 moves made the cut for full back development, and why you don't need anything else. First, they cover all the angles. 1 pulls vertically, hitting your lats and giving you that wide V taper shape. The other pulls horizontally, targeting the mid-back, those thick, dense muscles that make your back pop from the side and rear. Together, they hit every major function of your back. Second, they're science-backed. Studies show these 2 patterns light up your lats, traps, and rhomboids better than most flashy exercises out there. One builds width, the other builds thickness, and both deliver unmatched activation. Third, they're safe, controlled, and easy to progressively overload. Unlike some classic back movements that rely heavily on lower back strength or perfect body weight control, these allow you to push your actual back muscles harder, without grip giving out or your spine complaining. And best of all, they scale with you. Whether you're brand new or deep into your lifting journey, these 2 moves can grow with you in weight, intensity, and results. So if you're serious about building a wide, thick, and balanced back without wasting time, these 2 are your ticket. Ready to see what they are and how to master them? Let's dive into the first move of our back building duo, the underhand lat pulldown, also known as the reverse grip pulldown. Think of it as the cable machine cousin of the chin-up. You're pulling a bar down toward your chest with your palms facing you, and that small change in grip makes a big difference. So, why underhand? The grip shifts your elbow path, keeping your arms tucked in closer to your sides during the pull. This small tweak puts your lats, especially the lower region, in a strong mechanical position to contract hard. At the same time, the biceps get more involved compared to an overhand grip, which actually helps you move more weight and grind out those last few reps. And no, using your biceps a bit more isn't a flaw. It's smart assistance that allows you to hit your back harder with heavier loads. That strength boost means you can progress more easily over time, and more weight plus full range of motion equals more growth. Compared to wide grip pull-downs, which can sometimes overemphasize the upper back or lead to ego lifting, the underhand grip allows most lifters to stay in better control and really focus on that lat stretch and contraction, the stuff that actually builds muscle. Start by adjusting the seat and thigh pads so you're locked in. Grab the bar with an underhand grip, about shoulder width apart. Sit tall, lean back slightly 10 to 15 degrees, puff your chest up, and let your arms fully extend overhead. This is your starting point. As you pull, think elbows down and back, like you're tucking them into your back pockets. That cue keeps your form tight and maximizes lat activation. Don't just yank the bar with your hands. Focus on pulling through the elbows and initiating the movement by depressing the shoulder blades first. That little reverse shrug at the start is key to making the lats fire. At the bottom, the bar should come down to your upper chest or collarbone level. Hold that for a beat and squeeze your lats hard. Then control the weight back up. Allow your shoulder blades to rise slightly at the top for a full lat stretch, but stay in control. Primarily, you're hammering the latissimus dorsi, the massive muscles on your back responsible for width and that iconic V taper. Thanks to the underhand grip, you're also getting heavy bicep activation, making this an efficient pull that trains both arms and back. You'll also recruit your forearms for grip, your rhomboids and traps as stabilizers, and teres major, a smaller upper back muscle that helps the lats pull. Even the rear delts get some secondary work. Bonus, letting your arms fully stretch at the top increases time under tension and may even stimulate more growth, according to recent hypertrophy research. Leaning too far back? This turns the movement into a row. A slight lean is fine, but keep your torso fairly upright. Pulling with your arms only? If you're not initiating with your shoulder blades, your lats won't fully engage. Flaring the elbows. Keep them close to your body to maximize lat activation. Half repping. Don't cut the range short. Use a full stretch at the top and a full squeeze at the bottom. And please, no behind the neck pull downs. They're outdated, rough on your shoulders, and don't offer any added benefit. Always pull to the front, bar to chest. Struggling to feel your back? Try using lifting straps to take grip out of the equation, or go for a thumbless grip, thumbs on the same side as your fingers. Both tricks reduce forearm dominance and help you connect better with your lats. Also, imagine your hands as hooks. They hold the bar, but your elbows drive the movement. This mental cue makes a huge difference in form and mind-muscle connection. Want to take things up a notch? After reaching failure, drop the weight by 25 to 30% and keep repping. Or finish with controlled partials in the bottom half of the movement. These intensity boosters, recommended by lifters like Jeff Nippard and Jeremy Ethier, are perfect for machines like the lat pulldown, where it's safe to push past failure without risking injury. The underhand lat pulldown is a staple for a reason. It's safe, scalable, and brutally effective at building lat width. Whether you're a beginner working on form or an advanced lifter chasing progressive overload, this move delivers results. It trains your back through a full range of motion with precision and control, and most importantly, it just works. Alright, that's our vertical pull. Now let's shift to the horizontal plane. Time to thicken up the back with our second movement, the one that builds that dense 3D look. Let's get into it. If the pull down is our width builder, this next move is your go-to for back thickness. It might look simple. You're sitting at a cable station, feet braced, pulling a handle towards your torso. But don't let that fool you. This exercise is a mainstay in almost every pro-level bodybuilding routine for a reason. It's one of the most efficient ways to target the muscles in the middle of your back, your traps, rhomboids, rear delts, and even deepen your lat development. If you want that dense 3D look where your back seems to jump off your body, this is where it starts. Now, you've probably heard of or even tried other row variations. Barbell rows, T-bar rows, dumbbell rows, machine rows, they all have their place. But when it comes to a minimalist routine where every rep counts, the seated cable row has unique advantages that set it apart. For starters, it's stable and safe. There's no need to brace yourself in a bent-over position like with barbell rows, which means your lower back isn't the weak link. That's huge, especially if you've ever dealt with lower back fatigue ruining your sets. You can sit down, lock in your position, and isolate your back muscles without worrying about supporting your entire torso. That makes this move ideal, not only for advanced lifters looking to push intensity, but also for beginners still learning proper control and form. Another benefit that often gets overlooked is the constant tension you get from using cables. With dumbbells or barbells, the resistance drops off at certain angles, especially when gravity isn't working against you. But with a cable row, the line of pull stays consistent throughout the entire movement. That means your muscles are working hard from the very first inch of the rep to the last. It keeps the tension steady, making it incredibly effective for building hypertrophy. That continuous pressure forces your back to stay engaged every second of the set. No dead zones, no wasted reps. This exercise is also incredibly easy to customize and progress over time. Just move the pin and you've got more resistance. No need to load plates or strip them mid-set. You can swap the handle too, switching from a close grip V-bar to a wide grip, a straight bar, or even ropes. to target different portions of your back or find what feels best for your joints. You can even push your training intensity with drop sets or pause reps without slowing your workout down. That's the kind of flexibility that makes it a smart long-term choice. As for what it actually hits, nearly every muscle in your back is doing some kind of work here. Your lats are still pulling hard, especially in the second half of the rep as your elbows travel back. The mid-back, particularly the rhomboids and middle traps, are heavily engaged during the squeeze, helping bring those shoulder blades together. Your rear delts and rotator cuff muscles stabilize the shoulder joint and assist the motion. Even your spinal erectors, deep muscles that keep your posture upright, are working isometrically to support the movement. And of course, your biceps and forearms are along for the ride, assisting the pull. It's a compound movement in every sense, recruiting your full posterior chain from the neck down to your lower back. Despite all this complexity and muscle engagement, the actual movement is beginner-friendly. The setup is straightforward. Sit down, brace your feet, grab the handle, and pull. It doesn't take weeks to master like a deadlift or snatch. That simplicity makes it incredibly useful for newer lifters, while its ability to load heavy and be modified keeps it valuable even for advanced athletes. And while it may look like a simple seated pull, the row demands a high level of muscular control and coordination when done right, especially if you're focusing on strict form and deep contractions. The movement should feel fluid and intentional. Each rep starts with a stretch. You let your arms fully extend and feel your shoulder blades separate. Then comes the pull. Drive your elbows straight back, keeping them close to your body. Your chest should rise slightly as your shoulders retract, opening up the mid-back. At the end of the pull, don't just stop, squeeze. This is the moment where most of your growth is earned. That hard contraction in the rhomboids and traps, along with lat activation, is what builds depth. Then you control the weight on the way back, letting your arms straighten and your back muscles stretch again, keeping everything tight and precise. It's easy to get lazy here, using momentum, hunching your shoulders, letting the weight stack slam, but that's not how you build a thick back. Every rep should be intentional. Pull with purpose. Squeeze like it matters. Let your muscles stretch under control. That's what separates effective training from just going through the motions. The truth is, cable rows let you focus deeply on that mind-muscle connection. Unlike some other rowing movements that can get hijacked by your hips or lower back, this one keeps the spotlight on your back the entire time. What's more, this movement pairs beautifully with our first exercise. One pulls from above to stretch the lats vertically. This one pulls horizontally to thicken the midsection of your back. Together, they give you complete development, width and depth. No fluff, no filler. Just two precise tools to sculpt a powerful, balanced back. Now that you understand why the seated cable row belongs in your routine, let's break down how to perform it perfectly, so every rep counts and no muscle is left behind. With our two key exercises locked in, the underhand lat pull down and the seated cable row, it's time to structure them into a simple yet powerful back workout. And yes, just these two can absolutely be enough. Research and real-world results both point to the same thing. If you train hard and cover the main pulling angles, vertical and horizontal, you don't need a dozen exercises. Quality beats quantity every time. A study summary on Built with Science emphasized that 3 to 4 hard sets of 2 well-chosen movements can stimulate just as much growth as longer routines, provided you train close to failure and with proper form. Start with either movement. Some like pull-downs first to light up the lats. Others prefer starting with rows to feel stronger on the pull-down. Both work. What matters most is effort. Do 3 to 4 working sets of each exercise in the 8 to 12 rep range. Push each set near failure and aim to improve over time. Whether that's an extra rep, a bit more weight, or tighter form. Keep a log if you can. Progressive overload is your growth engine. Training these twice per week is ideal for most lifters. For example, Monday and Thursday can both be pull days, same 2 exercises, with different intensities if you like. Even once a week works if you make those sets count. What's important is hitting roughly 6 to 10 total weekly sets per movement, trained with intent. Should you add anything else? Not necessarily, but if you want, you can include extras like Romanian deadlifts or a few curls for arms. These are optional. The core remains the same. Pull down plus row, done right. These moves also fit into any split. Push, pull legs, upper, lower, full body. They're safe, effective, and scale with your experience level. Just remember your cues. Elbows to back pockets for pull downs, elbows to wall for rows. Form matters, but effort is king. When I simplified my own training to just these two, I was skeptical. But I focused, pushed hard, and tracked my progress. In a matter of weeks, my back grew wider and thicker. My posture improved. Everyday tasks felt easier. The best part? My training felt more focused, more enjoyable, and less draining. No fluff, just results. Other exercises still have their place, of course, but if you want a back that looks strong and performs well, these two are more than enough. Build on them with intent and intensity, and they'll carry your back training for years to come. Skinny forearms ruin your physique. Harsh, but true. You can have a big chest or wide lats, but if your forearms are flat, it all looks unfinished. Now, here's the kicker. Your forearms aren't just for looks. They control your grip, your power, your presence. Bruce Lee trained them daily. Arnold called them essential, and science backs it up. Direct forearm training triggers more growth than compound lifts alone. In this video, I'm speaking first person about how I transformed those spaghetti wrists into decent pythons using just 2 exercises. We're keeping it simple and science-based. We'll bust a couple of stubborn forearm myths, break down a bit of forearm anatomy, and then dive into the 2 MVP exercises. I'll also give you a quick progression plan for beginners up to advanced, so you can integrate these moves each week without overdoing it. Quick anatomy crash course, no boring lecture, just what you need to train smart. Your forearms are loaded with muscles, but we focus on 2 main teams. Flexors palm side, they help you grip, and extensors top side, they lift your wrist. Fun fact, the muscles that move your fingers, they're mostly in your forearm, pulling like puppet strings. Then there's the brachioradialis, that thick rope-like muscle on the top of your forearm near the thumb. It helps bend your elbow, not your wrist, so curls hit it best, especially hammer or reverse curls. Why care? Because developed forearms equals insane grip, better lifts, and arms that actually look finished. Plus, strong forearms help in real life, from lifting heavy to opening jars like a boss. Let's train smart and hit all of them with just 2 killer moves. Time to introduce the wrist roller, a deceptively simple old-school tool that delivers an ungodly forearm pump. If you've never seen one, picture a short stick or pipe with a rope through it, attached to a weight at the end. Your job is to roll that weight up and down by twisting the rope using just your wrists. Sounds easy until you try it and your forearms feel like they're on fire in the best way. Grab the wrist roller bar with both hands in front of you, arms extended straight out at about shoulder level. Keep a slight bend in the elbows and don't shrug, shoulders relaxed. Start with the weight hanging down. Now, twist one wrist up and then the other in an alternating rhythm to wind the rope and lift the weight. Imagine you're reeling in a fish or winding up a crank. Once you've rolled the weight all the way up to the bar, slowly reverse the motion to lower it back down under control. That's 1 round. Keep your torso upright and no cheating by rocking your arms or using momentum. The forearms should do all the work. Your biceps and shoulders just stabilize. The beauty of the wrist roller is that it nails both the flexors and extensors dynamically. As you roll the weight up, you're mainly using your wrist extensors, the top of your forearm to curl the back of your hand up, and as you unroll it down, your wrist flexors underside kick in to lower under tension. You'll feel an intense burn across the whole forearm. Start with a light weight, especially if it's your first rendezvous with a wrist roller. Jeff Nippert in his forearm training guide suggests using manageable loads and focusing on full-range wrist motion and continuous tension, rather than going too heavy and having to pause. Keep your movements smooth. Try not to let the weight free fall when rolling down. Resisting on the way down, eccentric control is crucial for muscle growth and also builds serious endurance. Also, no T-Rex arms. Don't drop your elbows or swing. Keep them up so your forearms stay engaged the whole set. If you really want to humble yourself, see how long you can go without lowering your arms between roll-ups. The time under tension adds up fast. I personally love to challenge myself by timing it. Example, 1 full up and down roll is 1 set. As you get stronger, Aim to do 2 continuous up and down cycles per set. You can also increase the weight in small increments or even shorten your rest between sets to make it harder once a given weight feels easy. This exercise is straightforward, but trust me, after a few weeks, your forearms will feel like they could bend steel from the constant tension training. It's no wonder many athletes and coaches consider the wrist roller one of the best forearm builders for overall grip strength and muscle endurance. Plus, it's kind of fun in a medieval torture device kind of way. Hurts so good. The first time I tried a wrist roller, I was overconfident. Halfway through, my forearms were screaming, and I was making the classic blow on your palms face like that would somehow help the burn. My training partner was laughing at me, but hey, I finished the roll. The next day, even turning a doorknob felt like a workout. Our second exercise is actually a combo of 2 movements, one for the flexors and one for the extensors. Together, these isolate each side of the forearm. Think of it as the yin and yang of forearm day. Dumbbell wrist curls palm up and bench-braced wrist extensions palm down. You can perform them separately or superset them back-to-back for efficiency and an epic pump. I often superset to maximize blood flow, as Arnold loved to do, alternating flexion and extension to pump the forearms until they feel like they're going to explode. His words, not mine, but I concur. Dumbbell wrist curl flexors. This targets the wrist flexor muscles on the underside of your forearm. To perform it, sit on a bench or chair and rest your forearm on your thigh or on the bench. Your palm faces up with a dumbbell in hand. Let your wrist hang just off the edge of your knee or bench so it can move freely. From here, allow the dumbbell to roll down to your fingers a bit, stretching the forearm. Then, curl your hand up, closing your grip and flexing your wrist to raise the dumbbell as high as possible. Think of trying to touch your forearm with your palm. That's the motion. You won't get that far, but you get the idea. Squeeze at the top for a second. You should see your forearm muscles bulging hard. Then, slowly lower all the way down, uncurling the fingers if comfortable for a full stretch. Keep the rest of your arm relaxed on the bench. No biceps involved, just the forearm doing the curl. Use a weight that allows 12 to 15 controlled reps to start. Remember, forearms often respond well to higher reps and continuous tension. Don't be ego-driven here. A relatively light dumbbell can smoke your forearms if you do it right. I've seen big guys struggle with 15 to 20 pounds on wrist curls because they do them strictly. It's humbling. Bench-braced wrist extension extensors. Now, flip your arm over to hit the wrist extensors, the muscles across the top of the forearm that lift the hand. I like to do these kneeling beside a bench. Place your forearm on the bench or on your thigh if seated, with your palm facing down this time, wrist and hand hanging off the edge. Grip a lighter dumbbell. You generally won't need as much weight for extensions, as these muscles are smaller and weaker than the flexors. From the hanging position, wrist slightly flexed down. Lift the back of your hand up toward the ceiling by extending at the wrist. Go as high as you can. You'll feel those top of forearm muscles contract. Pause and lower it back down under control. Again, aim for roughly 15 reps or so. It's important to use control here. No bouncing or swinging the weight, as that can strain the wrist joint. Feel the burn in those often neglected extensors. If you're supersetting after wrist curls, be mentally prepared. The extensors will be fatigued from stabilizing during the flexor work, so the burn comes on quick. Doing both curls and extensions ensures you train both opposing muscle groups of the forearm. This balanced approach is not just for symmetry. Nobody wants a muffin-top forearm with no definition on top, but also for joint health. Strengthening the extensors can help prevent or alleviate issues like elbow pain. Think tennis elbow, that sometimes arise if you only ever work your grip and flexors. Plus, from an aesthetic standpoint, a well-developed extensor group gives you that armor-plated look on the upper forearm when your arms are down at your sides. In fact, one reason some folks' forearms lag is that they never truly isolate the extensors. But you, my friend, now will. You can perform these 2 moves as a superset, one immediately after the other. For example, do 12 reps of wrist curls, then flip over and do 12 reps of wrist extensions. That counts as 1 set of each. Rest and repeat for the prescribed sets. Supersetting saves time and amplifies the pump by flushing the forearm with blood from both sides. I call this the forearm flush. Arnold swore by alternating wrist curls and reverse wrist curls for that reason, and it definitely works. The pump is unreal. If supersetting is too intense at first, you can separate them, finish all sets of curls, then do all sets of extensions. Either way, aim for about 3 to 4 sets of each. And remember, form trumps weight. A slow, controlled wrist curl with a 15-pound dumbbell beats a sloppy half rep with 30 pounds any day. As Jeff Cavaliere would remind us, leave the ego at the door and focus on that mind-muscle connection to really feel the forearms working each rep. I used to think wrist curls were for grandpas until I tried them and felt muscles in my forearms I didn't know existed. Now I'm that guy making funny faces on the last few reps of wrist extensions because the burn gets real. But I also started noticing veins on my forearms that I'd never seen before. Pretty motivating when you suddenly spot a new vein roadmap while brushing your teeth. Now that you've got the exercises, let's build them into your weekly routine. If you're a beginner, start with 2 sessions per week. For example, after upper body or pull workouts. In each session, perform 2 sets of the wrist roller plus 2 sets each of wrist curls and wrist extensions. Keep that weight light, reps around 12 to 15, and focus on clean, controlled form. The goal early on is to build coordination and tendon strength without overloading. You should feel a burn, not pain. Once you're recovering well, usually after 2 to 3 weeks, you can move to 3 sessions per week and slowly increase the sets to 3 per exercise. You can also start mixing rep ranges. One day heavy for 8 to 10 reps, another day lighter and pump-focused with 15 to 20 reps. This variation helps target all muscle fibers in your forearms for balanced growth. At the advanced level, you can introduce intensity boosters like supersets, drop sets, or even fat grips for extra challenge. Still, most people see great results with 6 to 8 total sets per week per movement. And don't forget, more is not always better. If your grip feels shot or your forearms stay sore for days, scale back a little. Quality is greater than quantity. Track your progress like you would for any other muscle. Note your weights and reps and aim to beat them week by week. Forearms respond well to consistent effort, gradual overload, and variety, and this structure gives you exactly that. Let's address 2 big myths that might be holding your forearm gains back. High retention myth busting incoming. Myth 1. Deadlifts and other big lifts are enough for forearms. Many people, even some jacked dudes, insist you don't need specific forearm exercises. Just lift heavy and your forearms will grow. In fact, IFBB pro Greg Doucette once admitted he never did dedicated forearm work because his heavy back training and rowing gave his forearms plenty of stimulus. And yes, heavy pulls do work your grip and forearms to a degree. But for most of us mere mortals, relying only on indirect work is a mistake. Fitness coach Jeff Cavaliere points out that you can't use heavy bicep and back workouts and call it a day. You need targeted forearm exercises to hit all the functions and maximize growth. In other words, if you skip direct forearm work, you're leaving gains on the table, or forearms on the barbell, so to speak. Take it from Arnold Schwarzenegger. He noticed too many people treat forearms as an afterthought with just a few lazy sets, and, in my estimation, that's a mistake. Successful bodybuilders often set aside time just for forearms and calves so they can train them with full intensity, not just whatever energy is left after back or biceps. The bottom line, compound lifts help, but dedicated forearm training is key if you really want them to grow. Myth 2. Forearm size is 100% genetic, so why bother? We've all heard someone shrug and say, "I just have skinny wrists, I can't get big forearms." Yes, genetics plays a role in things like wrist circumference and muscle insertions. If you have shorter muscle bellies in the forearm, you might not develop that full Casey Viator look. His forearm muscles attached so low that his forearms were huge even near the wrist. Arnold actually had the opposite problem. His forearm muscles were shorter, leaving more tendon near the wrist. But did he give up? Nope. Building impressive arms without super long forearm muscles is entirely possible. "I worked hard and long to build up my somewhat shorter forearms," Arnold says, and those once weak forearms became a strong point on stage. Moral of the story, genetics isn't an excuse. You may have to work harder and smarter, but you can add significant size and strength. Modern training guides echo this. Your forearm size does depend on genes and how you train. Even if you're a lanky ectomorph type, consistent targeted training can beef them up. One study-backed fact: bigger, stronger forearms typically mean a stronger grip. And a stronger grip is useful, whether you're hoisting heavy deadlifts or simply crushing jars of pickles. Goodbye, stuck lids. So don't let bad genetics be a crutch. With the right exercises coming up next and progressive overload, you might surprise yourself. As the saying goes, genetics loads the gun, but training pulls the trigger. I used to curse my thin wrists. I have the bone structure of a pianist, not a blacksmith. But once I started training forearms directly, I gained nearly an inch on them over time. My wrists are still slim, but now I've got some meat on the bones. If I can do it, so can you. Get visible six-pack abs with only 2 exercises. I was that guy trying every ab workout under the sun. Endless planks, crunches, Instagram influencer workouts, crazy ab gadgets, you name it. I once tried that infomercial ab electroshock thing, and let's just say my abs vibrated, but they didn't exactly show up. After years of spinning my wheels, I learned a golden truth: less is more. You don't need 15 fancy exercises or a 20-minute ab blast circuit every day. In fact, top experts like Jeff Nippard suggest simplifying ab training to just 2 movements. By focusing on mastering these 2, I finally saw my abs peeking through. I'm going to show you exactly how to do each exercise with proper form, how to adjust if you're a beginner or advanced, and why they're so effective, backed by science and the pros. Plus, we'll compare them to classic moves to see why our 2 heroes come out on top. Meet the rope cable crunch, my go-to move for sculpting the upper abs. It's a weighted crunch done on the cable machine, and if you've ever seen someone kneeling in front of a cable stack looking like they're praying with a rope behind their head, they're not praying. They're training their abs, and trust me, it works. I still remember my first time. I grabbed the rope, yanked it down like I was ringing a church bell, and almost face-planted. Rookie mistake. What I've learned since then is that this move only works when you slow it down and treat it like a controlled spine curl, not a bow or a hinge. You start by kneeling a couple feet back from the high pulley, rope behind your head, butt off your heels. Your hands lightly hold a rope near your ears. The most important part, lock your hips. Think 90-degree angle and freeze them there. No swinging, no sitting back. Your glutes should stay engaged just to anchor you in place. Now for the crunch. Bend your spine forward like you're trying to bring your elbows to your knees. Not literally, but that's the visual. You want your ribs and pelvis to come closer together in a controlled C-shaped curl. Exhale and squeeze your abs hard at the bottom. Then slowly release back to the top, feeling a stretch in the abs. That eccentric stretch is gold for growth. Don't skip it. Aim for 8 to 15 reps per set, with enough weight to make the last few reps burn. If you're breezing through 20-plus reps, it's time to bump the weight. But stay strict with form. Don't let the rope pull your arms. Your hands just hold the rope. Your abs do the moving. I've made every mistake on this exercise. I pulled with my arms. I rocked my hips. I sat back to cheat the reps. All of that kills the tension. Instead, keep constant tension from start to finish. Stay leaning forward slightly, even at the top, and squeeze at the bottom. Don't relax between reps. What makes this move so effective is that it lets you apply progressive overload to your abs, just like any other muscle group. I started crunching with 30 pounds and gradually worked my way up to 70. That's when I saw real ab development, not just visibility, but thickness. And you can scale it. Beginners can lighten the weight or even practice the same movement pattern using just body weight on a mat or exercise ball. Nail the spinal curl first, then add load. Advanced lifters? You can add twists to hit obliques or try the push-away variation Jeff Nippard recommends, facing away from the pulley, which cranks up the difficulty and core stability. One of my favorite tweaks is the twist at the bottom move. Instead of crunching straight down, rotate slightly to one side and aim your elbow toward the opposite knee. It lights up the obliques and builds that V-taper shape we all want. What really sets this exercise apart is how it trains the abs in a stretched position under load, the exact condition shown in research to boost hypertrophy. It's not about endless body weight reps, it's about smart progressive resistance. Coach Greg Doucette calls this one of his top ab moves. Jeremy Ethier highlights it for its ability to hit the abs through a full range of motion. And in my experience, Nothing has built my upper abs faster or more efficiently. This one's earned its spot in my 2-move ab arsenal. Now let's move on because the next exercise hits the lower abs and brings everything together. The lying leg reverse crunch. This is your lower ab specialist, the bottom-up counterpart to our top-down rope crunch. And believe me, if you've ever struggled with that stubborn lower belly pooch, the one that refuses to tighten no matter how many crunches you do, this is your answer. It may look easy, but done properly, it humbles even advanced lifters. I learned that the hard way. For years, I thought I was doing reverse crunches, but in reality, I was just swinging my legs up and down, using momentum, and mostly working my hip flexors. No wonder I never felt it in my abs. That all changed once I understood what the reverse crunch really is. A controlled, focused movement where the hips curl off the ground using only the abs. Here's how to get it right. Lie flat on your back on a mat or bench. Bend your knees so your feet are lifted with your shins parallel to the floor. Place your hands at your sides, palms down, or lightly grip the bench for support. Then, instead of lifting with your legs, think about curling your pelvis toward your chest. This is where the movement becomes truly effective. As Jeff Cavaliere explains, your spine should round slightly, like you're trying to roll into a ball, not just lift in a stiff L shape. Picture driving your heels straight up toward the ceiling, not back over your head. That's a critical distinction. If you let your legs swing backward, you'll turn off your abs and let momentum and gravity do the work. Instead, stop when your feet are vertical. That pause, with your tailbone lifted and your abs fully engaged, is where the burn lives. Then comes the descent, and this part is just as important. Don't drop your hips. Lower them inch by inch, keeping control. Your feet should hover above the ground, never touching, which keeps constant tension on your abs. When done correctly, you'll feel a deep contraction just below your belly button, not in your lower back or hips. In fact, your transverse abdominis, the deep core muscle that wraps around your waist, will kick in to stabilize the motion. You may shake a little on the last reps, and that's perfect. That means you're engaging the right muscles. And remember, this isn't about speed or high reps. 10 clean, slow reps will give you more results than 30 fast, floppy ones. I used to chase numbers, but when I slowed down, fixed my form, and focused on the squeeze, I finally started to see that lower ab development take shape. Avoid the common mistakes I made early on. Don't use momentum. Don't just move your legs. You have to lift your hips. And be careful not to swing your feet too far back. That removes the tension. Also, don't bend your knees more on the way down just to make it easier. That instinct to shorten the lever cheats your abs out of real work. Keep the angle consistent and let the abs do the job like Cavaliere shows in his breakdowns. Form is greater than reps, always. If you're just starting out, don't worry. Begin with a shorter range of motion. You can keep your knees tucked in tighter or try them on an incline bench to reduce resistance. One-leg reverse crunches or even practicing a simple posterior pelvic tilt on the floor can help build the right motor pattern. I actually started on a slight incline, and it helped me learn how to tilt my pelvis instead of just flailing my legs. And once you've mastered the basics, progressions open up. Straighten your legs more, add a small dumbbell between your feet, or move to a decline bench. Eventually, you can graduate to hanging leg raises, the standing ovation of lower ab work. But only once you can nail 15 to 20 clean reverse crunches with full control. As Jeff Nippard often says, don't rush the process. The stronger your foundation, the better your results long-term. Reverse crunches target the lower portion of your rectus abdominis and engage your stabilizers like the transverse abdominis and obliques, and they train your abs through a full range. At this point, you might be thinking, only 2 exercises? Really? Why these? I get it. I was skeptical too. We're bombarded with routines promising variety to confuse your muscles, but the truth? Simplicity often wins. When it comes to building visible abs, rope cable crunches and reverse crunches cover all your bases. Upper abs, lower abs, obliques, and even your deep core. Let's start with the basics. Your abs are one long muscle, the rectus abdominis, but depending on how you move, you can emphasize the top or bottom. Rope crunches shine in targeting the upper abs. By curling your torso down with resistance, you not only get a better contraction, but you also build thicker, denser muscle. This is how you get that brick look, something high-rep sit-ups can't match once you adapt to them. Reverse crunches handle the lower abs. Most people struggle to train these effectively. Planks, sit-ups, and even leg raises often miss the mark or shift tension to the hip flexors. Reverse crunches force you to initiate from your pelvis, giving you a deeper, more targeted contraction. Plus, they activate your transverse abdominis, which acts like a built-in waist trainer, tightening your core and flattening your stomach. And don't worry, we're not ignoring your obliques. With slight adjustments, rope crunches can hit them directly, and reverse crunches keep them active for balance and stability. Together, these two exercises deliver complete midsection development without the fluff. You might ask, what about planks or the ab wheel? Planks are great for endurance, but don't build muscle mass. The ab wheel is excellent too, but it is advanced and risky for beginners. Machines? Often awkward and inconsistent. Rope crunches and reverse crunches are scalable, safe, and brutally effective. Top coaches like Jeff Nippard, Greg Doucette, and Athlean X all swear by this minimalist approach. 2 exercises, done consistently with good form and intensity, can absolutely transform your core. Forget the 20 exercise ab circuits. Focus, progress, and let your abs do the talking. Now that you know what to do and why, let's turn it into a real plan. Pick the level that fits your experience: beginner, intermediate, or advanced. Remember, it's not about how long your workout is, it's about how well you train. Quality beats quantity. Beginner, 2 times a week. Ideal if you're new to ab training. Train twice a week, say Monday and Thursday, with at least a day between. Rope cable crunch. 2 sets of 10 to 15 reps. Use lightweight or body weight. Focus on slow, controlled form. Lying reverse crunch. 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Knees bent, lift hips gently. If it's too hard, start with knee tucks. Repeat the same routine on both days. Once it feels easier, add reps or slightly extend the range. Master the form before adding weight. Intermediate, 2 times a week. If you've built some strength, increase the load and range. Rope cable crunch. 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps with moderate weight. Lying reverse crunch. 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps. Legs extended to 45 degrees. Control the motion. Repeat later in the week and aim for progress. Extra reps, more weight, or slower tempo. You can sub in hanging knee raises or stability ball crunches if you want variety, but stick to the basics for best results. Advanced, 3 times a week. Time to push the limits with added volume and intensity. Day 1, heavy strength. Rope cable crunch, 4 sets of 6 to 10 reps. Hanging leg raise or weighted reverse crunch, 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Day 2, endurance and variety. Rope crunch, 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps. Reverse crunch, 3 sets of 15 to 20 reps. Optional obliques. Day 3, power and stability. Push away rope crunch, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Hanging leg raise, 3 sets. Optional pal-off press or ab wheel. Track everything. Increase weight, reps, or time under tension week by week. That's how abs go from flat to defined. Throughout this journey, I've mentioned some top fitness pros, not just for name dropping, but because their advice genuinely helped me fast-track my results. When people like Jeff Nippard, Jeff Cavalier, or Greg Doucette all echo the same message, it's worth paying attention. Jeff Nippard, known for his science-based approach, challenges the old "abs are made in the kitchen" phrase. Yes, diet matters, but Jeff stresses that stronger abs are more visible, even at higher body fat levels. His routine? Just cable crunches and hanging leg raises. The same core approach we're using, with reverse crunches as a progression. His lesson? Treat abs like any other muscle. Train them directly with intensity and progression. Jeff Cavalier is all about form. One quote from him completely changed how I train. Don't count your reps, make your reps count. He emphasizes that sloppy reps get you nowhere, and that abs respond well to heavy controlled work, just like fast-twitch muscles elsewhere. That's why 8 to 10 rep heavy crunches are more effective than endless high-rep sets. Greg Doucette, the No BS IFBB pro, reminds us that abs are built with resistance and revealed with diet. His go-to? The kneeling cable crunch, done heavy. He drove home the idea that you can't build abs by doing 200 unweighted crunches a day. You need to progressively overload them. And across the board, from Jeremy Ethier to Brett Contreras to even Arnold, the message is consistent. Train smart, train direct, and stay lean. That's why our simple 2-move routine works. It's not fancy, it's just what works, proven by science and backed by the best. Let's bust some common ab myths I fell for, so you don't waste your time like I did. Myth 1. Crunches burn belly fat. Nope. You can't spot reduce fat. Doing 100 crunches won't magically melt belly fat. Fat loss happens across your whole body, based on genetics and total calorie burn. I used to think more crunches equals flat stomach. Turns out, abs show up only after you get lean enough. So yes, build your abs in the gym, but lose the fat with proper diet. Myth 2. Train abs every day. Abs are muscles. If you train them hard, they need time to recover. I tried training them 6 days a week, just ended up sore and frustrated. Most experts agree, 2 to 3 ab sessions a week is plenty. Quality and recovery matter more than the daily grind. Myth 3. High reps tone your abs. Doing 50+ reps of easy exercises might burn, but it won't build definition. To make your abs pop, you need resistance, cable crunches, weighted reverse crunches, or harder body weight variations. Don't fear weight. It helps abs grow, not bulk up. Myth 4. Compound lifts are enough. Yes, squats and deadlifts train your core, but if you want visible abs, direct training helps a lot. I had a strong core from lifting, but my abs didn't really show until I added cable crunches and focused on ab work. Myth 5. You can get abs without losing fat. Even the strongest abs won't show if they're under fat. You need to be lean, about 10 to 15% body fat for men, 18 to 22% for women. You build abs with training, but you reveal them with diet. It's not one or the other, it's both. Myth 6. More exercises equals better abs. Doing 10 different ab moves in one session isn't productive, it's exhausting. I used to do this and felt more neck pain than ab soreness. Focus on 1 to 2 solid exercises per session. Form, tension, and progression matter more than variety. Alright, real talk, training abs is only half the equation. If your body fat isn't low enough, you won't see them. That's where nutrition comes in. Visible abs come from 2 things: strong ab muscles and a low enough body fat percentage. For most guys, abs start showing clearly around 12%, and for women, around 18%. Genetics play a role, but no one gets shredded by accident. You need to be in a calorie deficit, eating fewer calories than you burn. That's the only way to lose the fat covering your abs. To do that, track what you eat. Multiply your body weight in pounds by 10 to 12 to find a rough calorie target for fat loss. Stick to mostly whole foods, drink plenty of water, and get enough sleep. Prioritize protein. It keeps you full and helps you preserve muscle as you lose fat. You don't need to fear carbs or fats, just control your portions and stay consistent. I personally kept moderate carbs around my workouts and focused on protein every meal. I also added light cardio, like incline walking after lifting, which helped without burning me out. I'll never forget the day I noticed the outline of my abs starting to show. It wasn't magic. It was the result of weeks of disciplined eating paired with smart training. That's the real secret. Abs are built in the gym and revealed in the kitchen. Bottom line, if you're serious about getting abs, don't rely on training alone. Combine focused workouts with a dialed-in diet, and your results will speak for themselves. I'll admit it, I used to do dozens of shrug and row variations to chase big traps. But guess what? After digging through the research and testing it myself, I found that 2 moves done right can transform your traps. In this video, I'll show you the secret combo that'll pack mass on your upper back. Stick around. By the end, you'll know exactly how to turn those floppy shoulder rolls into solid chair-busting traps. Commit to these 2 exercises and expect thicker traps, stronger shoulders, and an instant posture upgrade. In fact, stronger traps literally boost your performance in all the major lifts and athletic activities. Better traps mean better posture too. They support the neck and shoulders, helping to maintain proper alignment, so you'll also walk around standing taller with a more powerful look. First, let's meet the muscle itself. The trapezius is a huge triangular muscle covering the back of your neck and upper back. It's actually one big muscle with 3 regions: upper, middle, and lower fibers, each doing its own job. The upper traps near your neck elevate the shoulders and help tilt your head. The middle traps retract your shoulder blades, think of pinching them together. And the lower traps depress the shoulder blades downward. Together, they stabilize your shoulders and neck. In short, you use your traps anytime you shrug, lift your arms, or even stand and hold your posture. Unfortunately, most lifters only hit the upper traps with standard shrugs, neglecting about 2/3 of the muscle, the middle and lower fibers. Healthline confirms that both men and women seem to neglect working on their trapezius muscles, often because they can't see them or simply don't know how to train them properly. That's a big mistake, because weak mid and lower traps mean poor scapula control and wrecked posture. If you can't depress and retract your shoulder blade, many lifts suffer. We'll cover those fibers too with a smart approach, but first, know that building bigger traps isn't just for vanity. It literally improves your daily strength and posture. Now, you might be thinking, surely more exercises are better, right? Not always. After breaking down the anatomy and research, I discovered that 2 big moves, chosen carefully, can cover all trap fibers when done with perfect form. These moves are also highly scalable. As you get stronger, you simply add more weight or reps. Science even backs up this simplicity. For example, a 2014 study found that adding just a little 30-degree of shoulder abduction during a shrug, imagine pulling your elbows slightly out, fires off both the upper and lower traps much harder than a normal shrug. So with small tweaks in technique, these exercises hit more muscle at once. And because both exercises let you use huge weights, they'll overload the traps better than dozens of light isolations. In short, we pick the 2 moves that allow maximum loading and a full range of motion. They're simple, but they work. The first move is the hex bar shrug, a shrug with a trap bar. This is a standing exercise, no bench needed, and it immediately locks your posture into a solid position. To set up, stand in the middle of a hex trap bar with feet hip-width apart. Bend at the hips like you're squatting down, grip the handles, then stand up tall, hips forward, chest up, knees soft. Keep your core tight and gaze neutral. Now, shrug straight up. Drive your shoulders as close to your ears as possible, squeezing at the top. Pause and feel that upper trap contraction, then slowly lower under control. That's 1 rep. This exercise targets the upper traps hard because of the bar's neutral grip and handle angle. The angled handles give your upper traps an intense stretch. If you want to build huge traps, this is your exercise. I can attest to that. Switching to the trap bar felt different, almost like I was able to shrug straight up without any wrist or arm interference. It lets me load weight safely, less spinal strain than bending way down and driving through the traps. Keep your arms straight, no bending elbows or using your biceps. Imagine shrugging with pure trap effort. Don't lean too far forward or back, remain upright. Push your head slightly forward, chin tucked a bit. Research shows that a slight neck flexion actually lets you produce more force and tension in the traps than looking up. In other words, don't crane your neck backward. A subtle chin down position can help lift more weight. As you shrug, avoid shrugging unevenly. Keep both traps activated and avoid any hip drive. The motion is shoulders only. Don't let your shoulders roll forward or your back arch. I often see people jolt the weight upward using momentum. Focus on smooth, controlled reps. If you cheat with your legs or back, you'll shortchange the traps. In fact, fitness experts warn us that shrugs should be done by lifting with the traps, not by pushing with the legs or lower back. Also, avoid shrugging only part way. Make sure you reach full elevation at the top. And don't shrug as if you're doing a leg press motion. The hex bar shrug is purely an up-down trap movement. By following the strict form, this move will light up your traps in the gym. Because you can go heavy with it, it's great for building size. Bodybuilders like Ronnie Coleman famously did extremely heavy shrugs to carve those iconic traps. After a few months of using these, I noticed my shoulder neck area really filled out, and even my bench press felt more stable. The second exercise is the dumbbell shrug, a classic trap builder. Stand upright holding a dumbbell in each hand at your sides, arms fully extended, palms facing in, feet shoulder width, chest up, and shoulders back. From this position, lift your shoulders straight up towards your ears. Keep the movement vertical. Imagine pulling straight up on the shoulder attachments. This move also hits the upper traps very effectively. Dumbbells offer a greater range of motion than a barbell, which can lead to fuller activation. I like using dumbbells because I can subtly tilt my wrists or angle my hands for comfort. and it helps even out any left-right imbalances. You'll feel the traps working as soon as the weight gets even a couple inches off your thighs. As with the hex bar shrug, grip the dumbbells tightly and keep your arms straight. Think dead hang arms. Avoid bending the elbows or turning your arms outward. That can shift the load to your biceps or shoulders. A slight lean forward at the hips, keeping a flat back, is okay if it feels right, but don't rock your torso. Look straight ahead or slightly down. Like with the hex bar, a bit of chin tuck is fine. Hold the squeeze half a second to 1 second at the top of each rep to fully engage the muscles, then lower under control. The standard shoulder shrug, like this dumbbell version, is actually proven to be the #1 activator of the upper traps in EMG studies. In other words, of all the common exercises, shrugs light up your upper trap fibers the most. That's why we're focusing on them. Don't roll your shoulders in a circle or back down. No neck rolls, just straight up. Don't bend at the waist since that puts pressure on your lower back. And again, watch the momentum. Don't swing the dumbbells or dip your knees to jump the weight up. Keep your posture locked and let the traps do the work. This move is super simple but brutal. If I feel a week coming on, a set of heavy dumbbell shrugs always reminds me of just how much tension these traps can take. Even top trainers like Jeff Cavalier recommend shrugs, dumbbells, or barbells as a staple for trap growth. Personally, dumbbells helped me squeeze out those final reps when the hex bar became easy. By switching between the two, I've kept my traps continually challenged. You may wonder why we're ignoring other exercises. Good question. While moves like upright rows or face pulls are popular, they're just not as efficient for trap mass. Big compound lifts like deadlifts, rows, or upright rows don't hit traps specifically. They work them some, but they're not S-tier trap builders. Upright rows, in particular, involve your shoulders a lot and can irritate the joints without adding much mass. Face pulls are great for scapular health in the mid-traps, but they lack the heavy loading of shrugs. Overhead pressing motions like barbell press involve traps to stabilize, but they mainly target the elbows. In other words, those exercises have their place, but they won't replace the direct stimulation you get from heavy shrugs. Deadlifts do engage the traps, they're needed to hold the bar. In fact, some lifters have built decent traps off heavy deadlifting alone, but even the experts say it's not the most optimal strategy. Menno Henselmans notes that deadlifts and shrugs seem to stimulate trap growth roughly equally, meaning if you want really big traps, you still need the direct work. In practice, the two exercises we're using let us focus 100% on trapezius contraction. I still deadlift, of course, but now I make sure to add shrug work so I don't miss out on size. Consistency and progression are the foundation of effective trap development, no matter your current level. For beginners, the goal is not to lift the heaviest weights, but to master proper form and develop a strong mind-muscle connection. Start with 2 sets of 8 to 10 reps per exercise once per week. Focus entirely on lifting with your traps, not your arms or lower back. And take the time to pause at the top of each rep for at least 1 second to feel the contraction. Lower the weight slowly under control to reinforce neuromuscular efficiency. At this stage, your biggest gains will come from learning how to isolate the muscle and build a foundation of quality movement. As you become more confident and consistent, move to the intermediate phase with 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps per exercise. Now, the focus begins to shift toward progressive overload. Start increasing the weight in small increments, about 5 to 10 pounds, only when you can complete all reps with clean form, full range of motion, and zero momentum. Introduce basic training techniques like tempo manipulation, such as 2-second holds at the top and 3-second slow negatives to increase time under tension, which stimulates more hypertrophy. At this point, your traps will begin to look and feel stronger, and you may notice improvements in posture and stability during compound lifts like deadlifts, overhead presses, and rows. Advanced lifters should train traps twice per week using a combination of heavy loading and high volume protocols. One session can emphasize strength with 4 to 5 sets of 6 to 8 reps at heavier loads and longer rest periods, 90 to 120 seconds, while the second session focuses on hypertrophy with 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 15 reps and shorter rest intervals, 60 to 75 seconds. This combination allows you to hit all muscle fiber types and stimulate both neural and metabolic growth pathways. At this level, advanced intensity techniques become crucial for continued progress. Always maintain strict form, even during fatigue, to avoid shifting tension to other muscles or increasing injury risk. Regardless of level, warming up is non-negotiable. Always perform 1 to 2 light warm-up sets, shoulder rolls, neck mobility drills, and banded trap squeezes before heavy work to activate the muscle group, protect the cervical spine, and maximize contraction. Recovery also matters. Don't overtrain. Traps can handle frequency, but only if you're fueling and sleeping well. Track your training diligently by logging weights, sets, reps, and difficulty RPE, and aim to make small, measurable improvements week after week. Finally, understand that trap growth takes time and patience. Unlike muscles like biceps or chest, traps often develop more gradually, especially if you're training them properly with controlled motion and strict form. However, the payoff is enormous, not just in size, but also in posture, shoulder health, and overall physique balance. A thick, developed upper back fills out your frame, adds symmetry, and gives you that powerful look even in a t-shirt. Stick with this 2-exercise protocol, train with intent, progress gradually, and be consistent. If you do, you'll be shocked at how much mass and density you can build with just 2 perfectly executed moves. Grow your neck with only 3 exercises. If you want to look more powerful and protect yourself from injury, start by building a strong, thick neck. A proportionally thick neck instantly makes you look more formidable, and it comes with real functional benefits. Research on over 6,000 athletes found that those with stronger, larger necks had significantly lower concussion rates. In my own experience, once I started training my neck directly, I not only looked stronger, but also felt more stable and confident during other exercises and sports. Why focus on neck training? For years, I neglected neck workouts, assuming heavy lifts like shrugs or deadlifts would handle it. I learned the hard way that direct neck exercises are essential. Compound lifts alone leave many neck muscles understimulated. In fact, one study showed that adding specific neck exercises led to significant gains in neck strength and size, while a group doing all the usual lifts without direct neck work saw no neck growth at all. A strong neck isn't just about looks either. Studies have shown that targeted neck training can reduce chronic neck pain and even improve forward head posture, benefits that carry over into everyday life. All this evidence backs up what I discovered firsthand. If you want a thick neck and the perks that come with it, you need to train it directly. To get a well-rounded, powerful neck, I focus on 3 areas: the front, sides, and back of the neck. Each area contributes to your neck's overall size, strength, and stability, so hitting all 3 ensures no muscle is left behind. The following are my top 3 exercises with beginner and advanced variations that target each area. These moves, done consistently, have given me the best results and are backed by both experience and science. Let's dive into each exercise and why it's so effective, plus how to perform them with good form. Neck curls target the muscles on the front of your neck, including the sternocleidomastoids and deep neck flexors, helping build that thick neck collar from the front view. I consider the basic neck curl the foundation of front neck training. How to do bodyweight neck curls? Lie on your back on a flat bench or your bed if at home, with your head hanging off the edge. Start with your neck in a neutral position face toward the ceiling. From here, tuck your chin towards your chest and lift your head up slightly, curling it as if you're nodding yes. Go until you feel a strong contraction in the front of your neck. Lower back down slowly to the starting position. You'll feel your front neck muscles working to lift and control your head's movement. I recommend aiming for high-rep sets, 15 to 20 reps at first, since using just your head's weight is a relatively light load. Once you can do high-rep bodyweight neck curls with good form, you can add resistance to spur more growth. The simplest way is to hold a weight plate on your forehead. Use a folded towel or beanie under the plate for comfort. Perform the same chin-to-chest curling motion, now against the plate's weight. Start with a small plate, like 2.5 to 5 kilograms or 5 to 10 pounds, and gradually increase as your strength improves. Important: do not use your arms to swing the weight up. Your hands should only keep the plate balanced on your forehead. focus on lifting with your neck muscles. This isolation is key for both safety and effectiveness. In fact, your neck flexor muscles are naturally weaker than your neck extensors, so expect to use lighter weights on this front neck exercise than you might for back neck exercises. Keep the movement controlled and stop if you feel any sharp pain. Over time, adding a bit of weight will significantly increase the strength and size of your front neck. Why this move? In my experience, neck curls are unbeatable for targeting the front neck. They directly work the neck flexor muscles, which aren't effectively hit by typical gym exercises. Many people assume they'll get a bigger neck from shrugs or heavy deadlifts, but those mostly improve your traps, upper shoulders, and miss the deeper neck flexors. The neck curl fixes that gap. By starting with body weight and perfecting your form, you build a solid foundation. Then the added weight provides progressive overload to keep those gains coming the same way adding weight to squats or bench press makes you stronger. I noticed visible improvements in my neck thickness within a month of consistent neck curls. Likely because these muscles were totally untrained before, so they responded quickly. Stick with it, and you'll feel your neck getting sturdier and looking thicker in no time. To build the sides of your neck, think the area running from your ears down to your collarbone. Lateral flexion exercises are my go-to. These target the side bending muscles, including the side fibers of the sternocleidomastoid and others that give your neck width from a profile view. Training these will fill out your neck silhouette and improve overall neck stability. How to do bodyweight side flexions? Sit upright on a bench or stand with your back against a wall. Keep your shoulders level and slowly tilt your head toward one shoulder, as if you're trying to touch your ear to that shoulder. Go until you feel a stretch on the opposite side of your neck and a contraction on the side you're bending toward. Hold for a second, then return to center. Now repeat to the other side. You can alternate sides or do all reps on one side, then switch. Aim for controlled movement. Avoid twisting your head. It's a pure side-to-side motion. I usually do around 12 to 15 reps each side with just head weight to start. This movement not only strengthens the lateral neck muscles, but also improves flexibility in the neck. Once you've mastered the movement without weight, you can add a light weight plate to the side of your head for more resistance. One way is to lie on your side on a bench, holding a small plate against the side of your head just above your ear. From the sideline position, lift your head directly sideways, ear toward shoulder against the plate's weight, then slowly lower. This is essentially a sideways neck curl. Just like with the front neck curl, use a hand to keep the plate in place, but don't push with your arm. You might find you need even lighter weight here. The side neck muscles are strong, but often very untrained. Start with perhaps a 2.5 kilogram or 5-pound plate, or even just keep your hand providing resistance. Keep the movement slow and avoid using momentum. By adding weight gradually, you'll see the sides of your neck get thicker and stronger. As an added perk, I found that strengthening my lateral neck helped me feel more stable during sports. Quick head turns or impacts felt less jarring once these muscles were developed. Why this move? Lateral neck flexions round out your neck development. If you only train front and back neck curls and extensions, you'll get a lot of growth, but adding side flexions ensures you don't miss any spots. The scalene muscles inside of the sternocleidomastoid don't get much work in the other two movements, so this exercise directly hits them. From a personal standpoint, side neck training made my neck look broader. It's the difference you notice when looking from the front, a wider neck versus a narrow one. Many people skip lateral neck work, but I consider it one of the big three for a truly thick neck. Plus, having strength in the side-to-side motion can protect you from injuries if your head gets tilted suddenly. Think sports collisions or even rough roller coaster rides. Overall, this move is excellent for aesthetics and functional strength alike. The third essential movement is neck extension, which works the muscles on the back of your neck. These include the upper part of your trapezius, the splenius, and other extensors that run along the spine. When these muscles grow, you get that strong yoke-like appearance from behind. The neck blends into the traps with solid thickness. Neck extensions also contribute to better posture by fighting against forward head position. Lie face down on a bench with your head hanging off the end. It's like the opposite of the neck curl position. Start with your neck neutral, face toward the floor. From there, Lift your head upward as if you're trying to look forward in front of you. Keep your chin slightly tucked rather than completely jutting out. You should feel the muscles at the back of your neck contracting to lift your skull. Pause briefly, then lower your head back to the starting position under control. This motion is essentially nodding yes upside down. Begin with body weight, doing around 15 reps or so. You may want to clasp your hands behind your back or hold onto the bench for stability. Focus on using the neck muscles to do the lifting, not your lower back. If done correctly, you'll feel a burn along the back of the neck and upper back. As you get stronger, you can add resistance by placing a weight plate on the back of your head. Tip: wearing a beanie or padding can make this more comfortable on your skull. Hold the plate with both hands against the back of your head and perform the same extension motion. Look up by lifting the head, then slowly down. Start light, like 5 kilograms or 10-pound plates, and ensure you can do it without jerking. Just like before, your hands are only there to keep the weight in place. All the lifting force comes from your neck. Another great option is using a head harness for this exercise. You strap it on your head, attach a weight or resistance band to the harness, and then rep out extensions. The harness is extremely versatile, great for home or travel workouts, and it allows a full range of motion with consistent resistance. However you load it, neck extensions let you apply progressive overload to the back of your neck safely. These muscles are usually a bit stronger than the front, so you might handle slightly more weight here. Over time, increasing the resistance will lead to a thicker, stronger neck and upper back. Why this move? Neck extension is a must because it hits all the muscles along the back of the neck, which are critical for both size and posture. Think about how often we lean forward. Phones, computers, our neck extensors have to fight that forward pull. Strengthening them with extensions can help counteract poor posture. There's evidence that neck training can improve forward head posture. Personally, after adding neck extensions to my routine, I noticed I stood a bit straighter and had fewer aches from long desk sessions. From a physique standpoint, this exercise adds that 3D thickness to your neck and trap area. It's the key to looking like you have a bull neck. Other exercises like shrugs mainly target the trapezius muscles on the shoulders and don't fully engage the true neck extensors. In fact, despite doing heavy shrugs, I saw no real neck growth until I significantly incorporated weighted neck extensions, a result that aligns with research findings. Now, neck extension is a staple in my program, and it's paid off with noticeable gains in neck size and strength. Want serious neck gains? Focused, consistent training is the only way to get there. For years, I overlooked neck work, assuming heavy compound lifts like shrugs and deadlifts would take care of it. They didn't. What finally made a difference was direct training, specifically using simple tools like a head harness. It's hands-free, safe, and allows for a full range of motion whether you're doing extensions, side flexions, or even rotations. I found it especially useful for home workouts or when I'm traveling. I just pack a harness and a resistance band, and I can hit my neck anywhere, anytime. When starting out, the most important thing is to go light and focus on mastering the movement. The neck is a sensitive area, and poor form can do more harm than good. I always recommend beginning with just body weight or the lightest resistance band possible. Make sure it's your neck doing the work, not your shoulders, arms, or momentum. Controlled reps with a strong focus on form will give you the best results and help avoid injury. The neck responds well to strict movement, and developing that control early on will pay off later when you increase the weight. Training frequency is also key. In my experience, 2 to 3 sessions per week is ideal for most people. Your neck is used to constant low-level work, holding your head up all day, so it can handle more frequent training, but it still needs recovery. I typically train neck at the end of my regular workouts, dedicating about 10 to 15 minutes per session. I do 3 to 4 sets per movement in the 10 to 20 rep range. Once I can perform 20 reps with perfect form, I'll increase the weight slightly and start building back up. Small progressions like this, just a few extra reps or a 2.5 pound increase, are what lead to long-term growth. One thing that made a huge difference for me was developing a mind-muscle connection. At first, I couldn't really feel the muscles working, but over time, by concentrating on the contraction, even lightly touching the working area with my hand for feedback, I built that connection. Slowing down each rep and pausing at the top helped me feel the tension where it mattered. That awareness dramatically improved the effectiveness of my workouts. Above all, safety has to come first. Never rush into heavy weights and don't ignore discomfort. I always warm up with some light neck mobility, gentle rotations and nods to get the blood flowing and reduce stiffness. I personally avoid risky movements like wrestler's bridges, especially for beginners. The 3 fundamental directions, front, sides, and back, are all you need to train for a strong, balanced, and injury-resistant neck. With consistent effort, good form, and smart progression, neck training can completely change your appearance and performance. Stick with it, and you'll be surprised how quickly you start seeing and feeling the difference. Still here? Then you've got that discipline most people don't have. Drop "Stay strong" in the comments, and make sure to like the video so I know you're one of the dedicated ones.